This Leo full moon on February 2nd, depending on where you are in the world, is more a new moon once again. And more than the full moon, I'm going to talk about everything leading up to this full moon, which was all of these Pluto conjunctions with Mars, Mercury, the Sun, and Venus. These are new cycles with Pluto that run for a whole year to 2 years. And it's these cycles that have initiated something in the Leo parts of our charts regarding self. How authentic do we feel in each moment? And some of us may have had challenging situations. Some of us may have just had big emotional and psychological epiphanies. But something in the last couple of weeks has led us to this moment where we're getting to a whole new layer of what's authentic to us, what makes us feel seen and heard and part of the group. I'm going to get into a lot more detail on what this energy can feel like in the introduction, and this is for all signs, so check that out for the juice of the energy that's showing up. And then check your rising sign first if you know it. Sun, moon, and rising will all be applicable, and you can combine all three in the timestamps below to get a better understanding of all of the ways this could show up in your life. First of all, a full moon in Leo is a culminating point. It is seeing the light in something, reaching an ending. And Leo is all about our creative self-expression. It is the sun. It is the center of our solar systems. It is the center of us. It is the true self, the authentic self. It is the self that stands up in a neutral, loving, open-hearted, pride and royalty kind of way. At the same time, if there are challenges or protections that we have put up around self to operate in this world that can often be challenging, it's those protective systems that block the authenticity and the neutrality that Leo shows up in when it feels healthy and it feels recognized and seen, and it doesn't have to fight for that space. But what often happens is that challenging environmental situations make us feel like we need to go to war. That could be Mars. Make us feel like we need to overstep to protect ourselves. Make us feel like we need to be more about us than the whole in order to survive and in order to function. This is a moment in a Leo full moon where we get to recalibrate that and think about how much power we do have from a place of open-heartedness to Aquarius, which is in the opposite side of Leo, which is where the sun is, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Pluto. This is a lot of polarized tension when we have the moon illuminating all of these planets. It's wide for some of them. It is in exact opposition to the sun, which is our full moon. And the sun is calling us to look at how we fit in the system. How do we fit with community? How do we get along with others? How do we have a unique bird's eye perspective that each of us has and fit together in a functional group that works towards a similar goal, that has similar ideals in mind, or humanitarian efforts? And when we say humanitarian efforts, to me that means efforts that matter to a human at a human level as we know human functioning in this day and age. So that is going to be different for everyone. But the themes around self and other, group and independence, being seen for what is different, yet feeling accepted, and that is up to the group stuff. That's the new cycles we're starting in Aquarius in opposition to this moon, is that in order for the group to function really well and hold this humanitarian, collective, like-minded goal, we still need to make room for the individual odd people out, which is generally everyone in some way. We're all different. We all have different goals, as well as needing to work towards similar goals in different parts of life. So whatever has been going on in your life since this lineup of planets started conjoining with Pluto, this all happened within the time between the Capricorn new moon and this Leo full moon. whatever has been showing up in your life, start to think about how that fits in terms of how do I have an inner trust in my solar power, in my light, in my vitality, in my ability to exist, in my ability to exist and be different than others, and find those bits and pieces where we fit. The Sun conjunct Pluto is about that. It is about our solar unique center of our world, who we are as humans, what lights us up, what we move towards, but this is the individual. Mars is protective. It wants to assert, it wants to take action, it wants to initiate. And in the sign of Aquarius, how do we do that with other people in a way that's both protective, working towards our goals, and functional? Aquarius is a functional system. And the other important thing about all of these planets opposing the moon in Leo from Aquarius is that Aquarius is about breaking the mold of the system that was developed in tradition in Capricorn in the past. This is a tower moment. This is where we break through. We have breakthroughs. We have intuitive downloads that help us see a new way forward. But it's not an automatic reflex like Mars can be. It's premeditated change. It's an awareness that comes to us that we have not worked on before, that we haven't exercised before. And these cycles, with Pluto conjoining all of these planets for new cycles, are creating an opportunity for us to exercise what is new. Venus and Pluto are going to be about relationship power struggles and dynamics within trying to create harmony with other people. At the same time, all these Plutonian psychological processes of everybody mirroring each other. Projections, that's another thing that happens a lot at the time of a full moon. What are other people projecting onto us and vice versa? Are other people's reactions a knee-jerk reaction without considering the actual moment? That's often a very important protective mechanism that we all need to have patience and compassion and understanding for with other people, especially ourselves as well. But when we can witness an uncomfortable situation that doesn't feel like it's grounded in our reality, we can accept it as something that is protective maybe in another person and needs to be played out. And it's not about harm or threat to us, it's about protection to them. And through that lens, hopefully we can have a bit more compassion for the interactions that are happening that might feel messy at times. We might just have more of a psychological understanding of relationships when Venus and Pluto have gone through their conjunction in Aquarius. And with this new psychological understanding of power struggles, where people are coming from, how people want to create harmony, but also want to feel safe in themselves. And in some capacity, everybody wants to work towards something new right now. We don't want to get stuck in these old ways of being, especially in relationships. With Mercury having conjoined Pluto and all these other planets, they're all kickstarting a big journey together. It's our words. We are getting this understanding at a psychological level of the words that we use, the way that they're received by other people. Are they working within the system? Are they not? With Mars and Mercury, are they protective? Are they overprotective? With Venus alongside Mercury, are we being heard? Are we truly listening to other people? These are the practical conversational tools that a lot of us could be paying attention to right now as all of this activation, extremely powerful activation, has been happening. So do be patient with self and other as we all navigate these potentially challenging circumstances. At the very least, intense awareness opening of what's going on around us, what our own contribution is, what the potential for change within a group dynamic could be, what the potential for change within systems could be. And this could be internal for some people. This could be the systems that we operate in within ourselves, like IFS work, internal family systems work. How do we create a functional coexisting system within our own psychological dialogue that then allows us to show up in this Leonian way, which is our authentic solar power? It is our purpose as individuals. When we tap into our Leo solar energy, and this moon here is just a reflection, it's a moment of seeing things differently about ourselves and what it feels like to step up in a authentic, trusting, compassionate, eyes wide open to what's going on in the community. Because this is the other thing about Aquarius, is all of these planets in Aquarius, they are our bird's eye view. They are our ability to see the system from a distance and understand what's going on in the big picture. Each of us are having these moments in different ways. And as we reflect on the big picture, it's helping us reflect on our internal systems and our contributions and who we are as that solar Leo fire in our lives, who we want to be, who we feel we truly are. Myself included, I don't always act in alignment with who I really see myself to be. There are times when anxiety takes hold and fear takes hold, and all of those plutonic, psychological, more challenging energies. And my behavior can change. And when I look back, I'm constantly trying to rework my ability to stand in a trusting, open-hearted space with myself and everyone else. But that comes from what we're going through right now with Aquarius. When we can see the big picture, we can be more emotionally detached, and we have the observer mentality of what's going on. We're not taking things personally. Whereas the Leo archetype, where the moon is on the opposing side, can take things very personally. It is all about self, and it all matters, and it's all personal. This full moon is an opportunity to bring those into balance in another way, in a new way, to take this information that you've received over the last 2 weeks between the new moon in Capricorn and this full moon, February 1st or 2nd, depending on where you are in Leo. This is a really important time of self-reflection and understanding some of these topics in ways that can help us move forward with more perspective and bigger open hearts. At least that's my hope and my intention. Thank you so much for hanging out for this video, being here, chatting with me in the comments. It's really fun to have this come alive in that way. And some of you have been chatting with me for quite some time, and those of you who are showing up and letting me know you're new. It really makes this experience so much more alive and fun. And if you would like more time with me for a one-on-one Zoom call, my booking link is in the description below. I read charts by porphyry and whole sign house system and combine both. I use Western tropical zodiac based on the seasons and the path of the sun and the moon, but of course all planets, and I integrate some of evolutionary astrology, Hellenistic astrology, and a little bit of Western and the odd Vedic trick that I've picked up. So I really believe in taking the best of all systems, and the similarities of all systems make the most sense to me, and I've incorporated that into a holistic perspective, including internal family systems work, which has been the only psychological therapy that has really worked for me, and I see it working well with the astrology archetypes too. So if you want to check that out, reach out to me. Would love to see you there. And now let's get into your sign. Hi, Pisces. This is a 6th house full moon for you. So this is all about work, health, routines, habits, everything that you do on a day-to-day basis that is of service to yourself and others. It is work. It is tasks. It is the mundane daily tasks in life that we need to do, but that usually contribute to an overall well-being in life, like brushing our teeth or washing our dishes or tidying our house at the most mundane level. But then you have exercise and things you do for your health, going to yoga. There's a moment here where you're understanding a better system for working, for getting things done, for health routines. You could have an epiphany of health as it relates to your 12th house, which is your subconscious. It is your hidden realm. It is the Pisces realm. It is things that you don't see. It is the energy that connects all of us. So at an energetic level, there might be some aha moments, some awarenesses, some situations happening that are contributing to your health or your work or your daily activities in a profound way. You're feeling more authentic in who you are at work and with health. And when we align with authenticity in our health, we're doing what really matters to us. And it's not awful and boring, and it's not a Saturn or Capricorn placement for you. This is Leo. This means you're having fun with the work that you're doing if you're aligning with what matters to you from that solar fire place in your heart and soul. And when you align to that, your health improves too. We have more vitality when the Leo part of our chart is well positioned, or the sun. So the moon here, though, is that awareness piece. It's the emotional layer that you're tapping into right now that's triggering changes down the road that might be putting a complete ending to the way your health and routines and habits have been going. So if you want to release something for your New Year's resolutions when it comes to health and habits, this is wonderful energy to do that in. And it could be coming through meditation because of all of these Pluto activations in your 12th house. With Aquarius being the archetype here, there's likely a layer of radical change, doing something differently than you've done before. If it's meditation groups, for example, then this is something that's a bit more revolutionary that you are maybe designing yourself because you're a Pisces and this is the 12th house, your domain. And I've been seeing this energy for Pisces over and over and over again, with Neptune having been in your sign for 14 years and Saturn for 3 years, that there's this restructuring and expansive quality of intuition that Pisces are going through. I didn't actually foresee this particular full moon earlier on, so it looks like right off the gate in 2026, you have this moment of energetic expansion, awareness, dreams coming into your life that help you see how psychological systems work, that help you see how your own psyche is functioning when it comes to relationships, Venus, Mars, how you assert yourself from an energetic place. Mercury, communication could be foggy with Mercury in the 12th house. You could have misunderstandings that lead you to figuring out something revolutionary, different, breaking the mold. So conversations with people, do tread carefully and recognize that there could be lack of clarity and misunderstandings happening from your side. So when Mercury is in your 12th house, it is you that cannot access this mercurial energy as well as other people might be able to. But the 12th house is your domain, so I will leave that as a caveat. Nothing is ever black and white, but this is a potential that I want to put out there, because when we have patience with our cognitive thinking, logical, speaking archetype, then we can slow down and just really be careful with the way that we're taking things in. That could be part of the process of discovering something new at an energetic level for you. Mars and Pluto being here mean that the psychological work that you're doing is very internal. You might actually feel an inability to take action at the moment of this full moon, and that's okay. That's Mars in your 12th house, and that will pass in a month or so, depending on where your ascendant line is. It could be 2 months. But this is an internal brewing phase. So you're processing at an energetic level. You might be processing in dream states. You might be forced to take more rest right now. This might be a time where illness knocks you down. Not everyone, but this is just a potential for some of you. And I like to point those parts out because if that's the case, it's really important processing rest, and we don't think about that enough when it comes to illness and a forced slowing down at a physical level because of it. There is importance and value in that, and when all of these planets move into your side in March and we have eclipses coming up very soon, the energy is going to be potent, and you need to have the rest to be able to do what needs to get done in the cycles that are calling for forward movement and action. And this one doesn't look like it for Pisces. This is more of a rest and retreat and process, and think about what the moon is lighting up in your 6th house of health, activities, routines, and how you function in the world on a daily basis. Uranus is the ruler of your 12th house, where all of these planets in Aquarius are, and worth mentioning because it's in your 3rd house of communication. So another layer of what's going on with this Aquarius-Leo axis in your life is that it could be propelling you forward to think about things differently, speak about things differently, have more of a bird's eye view of this meditative, spiritual, energetic part of your life. But when the ruler of this house is in your 3rd house, there is a desire to put it into writing, put it into sensical form, put it into media. Maybe the media you're taking in is helping you process at an energetic level. But there is some connection to mind, functionality, communication, perhaps short distance travel, transportation, cousins, close relatives, neighbors, and siblings. But the 3rd house is communication, and it's a mental, functional house where we use our mental capacity to get things done in a day-to-day level. So though this energy is very heavy in your 12th house of energy, you have the full moon actually in Leo of your 6th house, and Uranus, the ruler of all of these conjunctions, in your 3rd house. Both the 3rd and the 6th house are very practical, mercurial houses where you're putting things into functional, sensical form, making use of it, not just keeping it in this dream, intuitive, inspired, Piscean, Aquarian world of yours, with Aquarius being the 12th house ruler for your chart, and you being a Pisces, and the 12th house being Pisces. I know that's sometimes a lot of jargon for those of you who don't follow the astrology jargon, but I keep putting it in there because I know some of you do. And the way that I learned in the beginning was just repeated exposure. I go a little quick sometimes, but the more it gets repeated, the little bits might click into place, and bit by bit it'll make more sense. And astrology is like that. We expand slowly on the knowledge, and then all of a sudden we have a very detailed, expanded view. And since mentioning that, that could also be what all this 12th house activity is doing. The 12th house is a very astrology house, as is the 8th house. And I saw recently that the 3rd house is too. By Hellenistic astrology, the 3rd house in ancient astrology was always a house of divination, a house of the moon, and a house of more practical magic kind of house. So maybe that is something that you're getting into at this time. Pisces, I always love hearing what's going on in your world in the comments. So thanks so much for chatting with me there and hanging out with me for Zoom calls. It is really fun to have this work come alive with each and every one of you. So thank you so much for being here, and have a wonderful full moon in Leo. I'll see you next time. Aries, this is a 5th house full moon for you. So this is all about your creative self-expression, just like everyone else, but even more emphasized for you because this Leo part of your chart is your 5th house. What do you find fun? What do you find uniquely you that's fun, that's creative? If you have children, what's going on with your children that are a creative extension of you? And when we have children, that creative extension becomes a mirror, just like when we have a full moon. Our children can mirror back to us who we are. They're little mirror parts of us. And it could be through play in any form, whether that's with children or whatever you find playful, that you're finding a more authentic piece of you. But the really important layer of this full moon is all of those planets in opposition in your 11th house, with Leo in your 5th. So you have Venus, Mercury, Mars, Pluto, and the Sun all in your 11th house of Aquarius, all having just started new cycles with Pluto. So it is about the psychology of the hive mind. It is about the community and collective that you're a part of, and how the psychology of all of this fits with you. Right now, you probably have a bird's eye view of whichever communities you're part of. The questions would be, are you aligned with like-minded people? Are you living in authentic alignment with who you are? Because that is the key to attracting the right people in the 11th house. The clearer you are on what is authentically you at a creative level, at a level of astrology, your astrology chart, if you know it, that is one of the authentic imprints that you come into the world with. For all of its components, the authentic self isn't necessarily free of any of the other protective layers or parts of ourselves that we have conditioned ourselves to be in this life. There is a core self that is pure light, that is the sun, it is the solar force, it is that divine spirit or energy or flame or whatever you want to think of it as. But it coexists with all of these other colors that we have developed through our conditioning in life. And everyone has gone through that. So at this moment, you're seeing more about yourself through the group. You could have had conflicts at the psychological level with group members, power struggles with listening, being heard, being seen, feeling like you're truly hearing other people, or are they truly hearing you? That is the Venus part in Aquarius. Mercury here is helping you make sense of it all. I love that Mercury is part of all of these Pluto conjunctions, because Pluto is psychological, it's murky, it's subconscious. It takes hold of our energy and takes us on a journey at a psychological level in order to purge old parts of ourselves or process them in more relative, applicable, real-time space, because a lot of our psychology develops from past experiences. So we bring up those past emotions and feelings and experiences, and with Mercury here, we have the ability to see from a distance, be the observer to this psychological pattern in others, in ourselves. It doesn't matter how it's showing up, it's all the same. When we have a chance to observe this pattern, make sense of it, put it into writing, put it into practical use, put it into communication. Mercury is our planet of communication. This could be a whole new way of speaking so that people hear you, which is the Venus in Aquarius component. And there's nothing more important from my perspective than listening, hearing, and communicating effectively when it comes to connecting with other people, creating change in our own lives, potentially with Mercury here, creating material, writing, media, work that other people see and that other people can learn from. With Mars being here as well, you are excited to take initiation on all of this stuff. It might show up as an urge to protect yourself or an urge to protect the group, people that you're working on systems with. There's a protective, fiery element that comes out with Mars, especially in Aquarius. But that's the fire to get all of this going with these new cycles. So there's a lot of different archetypal energy to lean on with this particular full moon. And for you, you're one of the signs where this really creates big changes for how much fun you can have, how you see yourself, how you feel seen by others, how you feel connected in the group, how you assert yourself, how you communicate. This full moon is so impactful on the tools that you can acquire moving forward, and maybe the things that you can let go of self that have been holding you back, maybe feeling too protected. You could be feeling like you've been taking too much charge and people aren't responding to that. There are so many different nuances for how this could play out, but it is allowing you to shed an old version of self, feel more aligned with what feels authentic to you. And in many ways, this is going to have to do with your community, the people that support you, the people that walk alongside life with you, the people that are just part of your social experience at acquaintance level or your audience, but they're still walking this path with you. And I think about this often, that sometimes our role in life or the things that we go through, it could be about us, but it's also about the people that we experience life with, and that we all go through learnings and experience and expansion of awareness at the same time. And I can't even remember exactly which interview or clip. I think it was from one of the books. But if you've heard of the Z's, this was just a moment of real processing for me around the importance that we all go through things at the similar time in life, that we're not meant to make huge leaps at a psychological or energetic level without the people that we incarnated with, because we're here to grow as a team, we're here to grow as a collective, we're here to be at the same pace. So if sometimes you feel frustrated with the pace that life is happening at, faster, slower, whatever it is, probably you walk faster, you're an Aries, then think of it that way, that you're moving with the collective and you're not meant to go too far ahead. But this is a moment where you are leaping forward in your self-awareness, and I would love to hear how it's playing out for you, Aries. If you feel called to, let me know in the comments, and also one-on-one Zoom reading if you want to reach out for that. Otherwise, thank you so much for hanging out for this video. Have a wonderful full moon in your 5th house, and I will see you next time. Hi, Taurus. This is a full moon in your 4th house. This is all about home, family, your sense of safety in the world. This is your inner world. This is how you are processing your family lineage and everything that's been handed down to you as far as what it means to be authentically you. It's interesting that this most authentic solar expression of self, of our parts of our chart for Taurus, is at the anchor of your chart. It's at the most hidden part of your chart as well. So it's both what anchors and roots you to the world, to yourself. You might have a lot of family influence over how authentic you feel. But as a Taurus archetype, what I find interesting is that Taurus can be so focused on moving forward in the world and enjoying the earthly experience that there might be some omission or disconnection from that real, authentic, vibrant light, like play. And this depends on each person's individual chart. But there's a childlike, playful nature that is deep in the core of your being that other people might not see. It may not be what you lead with in the world based on just the Taurus archetype. There's a strong need to be in a forward-moving, security-based, very strong and unflappable mission. And that could make play less accessible. That could make creative joy less accessible for some of you. And again, very personal chart dependent. All of these new activations with Pluto, with Mars, Mercury, the Sun, and Venus are happening in your 10th house of Aquarius. By contrast, this is the most visible part of your chart, at the top of the chart. What people do see when it comes to your inner authority, how you walk through the world, how you create structure in the world, is an ability to work with the collective, work with teams, work with community. You might be a leader in certain systems, though Aquarius is a system without a center, technically. It is a system then without necessarily a leader. It is where all equal parts function together. But still, within communities, there can be people that are living examples of this, and that could be you. And this could be a new moment where you have intellectual insights, and that's Mercury here, about Pluto, your psychology, the group mentality, how people are functioning in a system, and what that means for your inner world, for your inner light. How do you fit in? And this in your 10th house is going to be more in a leadership position. So that's where leadership can come in. It's about exercising your inner authority in a way that's playful, in a way that's fun, in a way that focuses on nurturing creativity in the team. The 10th house, where all of these Pluto connections are happening at the top of your chart, can sometimes be work, career, your status in the world. Aquarius activations with Pluto means that your psychology around status and career could be changing. Your home life could be changing with a full moon in the 4th house. Something about home and inner world could be ending at the same time that you have all of these new cycles out in your public image starting to shift. Some of you could be working actually with psychology, and you could be developing new ways of communicating this, new ways of interpersonal relationships with Venus here. You could be very motivated to get this work out into the world right now. That's an option for some of you. If that's not you, if that's nothing that you are connected to, then there's a way that you are being seen in the world that could be radically different, that's revolutionary, that you're stepping into a new way of being. And this correlates really well with Uranus visiting your sign for the very last time, at least in your lifetime. And Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, which is the 10th house where all of these Pluto activations are happening. So there's something that is radically changing with you. The first house is the Mars Aries house. It's how you initiate your life. It is how you steer the helm of your ship. It is how you walk in the world, your persona that other people see you. And it's the tools that you have to access at an innate level. There are moments in life where we can default to the first house qualities. And if you're a Taurus rising, that's you. Your first house might be different if you are a Taurus sun, but this is still going to have some relevance in your life in that the Taurus qualities that you walk through the world with can be activated consciously or subconsciously. You can use them as protective mechanisms by default and be focused on your security and pleasure in the world and your enjoyment of walking through life at the dismissal of the more psychological experiences. And that is because Scorpio is your opposite sign and Pluto's the ruler of that. And it's a big theme for this video. So there's an extra layer here for Taurus where Pluto is your polarity. Pluto is the energy that you need to bring into balance and harmony with your ability, your strength, your very, very wonderful quality in this world to be able to enjoy the earthly pleasures, yet it's going to be that much richer when you allow yourself to open up the psychological expansion that could be happening right now. It could have been going on for a while, but it's now that people are starting to see you in that way. And they say that about health changes, right? That the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we start to notice. After 6 or 7 weeks, the rest of the world starts to notice. So that's where you're at right now and what you're integrating. If this is work, career, status related, you could have some epiphanies as to where you want to go with that, which direction you want to go in. This could certainly have to do with partnership cycles for a lot of you because Pluto is the ruler of your 7th house, and the status of partnerships can sometimes be represented in the 10th house. So this could be an ending of who you have been in your internal world because the moon is in your 4th house of you and family and home and the energy that you grew up in, the person you became because of your family lineage. Maybe something's being released here as you merge with another person in a more status related place. And this could be romantic relationships, marriage partners, business partners, any significant life partner that is by contract going through some changes right now. So let roles shift in your home, in your inner world, in how you have operated by default, by the way that you were raised, and allow for more radical, never been done before ways of stepping out in the world and your inner authority to take hold. And with Venus here, this likely has to do with harmonious relationships and balance within listening to other people, with taking in the ideas of the group and creating something that works for everyone involved. This is a full moon in your fourth house, so this is not going to be without consideration of what's important to you at the very core of your being and your need to feel safe. This takes that and merges it with the groups, with your authority, with who you are out in the world. But I would love to hear how this is going for you, Taurus. There's a lot of pressure showing up at this full moon. And if it has felt very pressurized, it's really for wonderful, profound change and bursts forward. I think especially after this full moon brings illumination in connection to all of these cycles that have been activated with Pluto in the last 2 weeks. This is a huge moment of awareness, moving forward with the pressure that's been building, and you'll have these moments of starting to see what it's all been about. Thank you for being here, for hanging out with this video, chatting with me in the comments, and one-on-one Zoom meetings. It's really fun meeting you there. Have a wonderful full moon in your fourth house of home and family, and I will see you next time. Hi, Gemini. This is the third house full moon for you, and the third house by classic position is a Gemini house. This is about your intellect, your daily functional mind, your communication, your words, your thoughts, also including transportation, close relatives, siblings, neighbors, short distance travel. But first and foremost, it is a communication, media, exchanging of ideas, even marketing is here. What is in opposition to this full moon for you is the sun, as always, but also Pluto, Mars, Mercury, and Venus. They have all just gone through new cycles with Pluto in Aquarius in your ninth house of spiritual exploration, understanding the bigger purpose and truths and belief systems of the world, spiritual practices, understanding foreign concepts and things that were not innately brought into your awareness in your early development or up until now. We continue to expand our awareness of the world through this ninth house Jupiterian experience, but for you, it's Aquarius, so it's about systems. It is about observing this ninth house, bigger truths and understandings of the world from a bird's eye view. You have this objective ability to see what's going on with spiritual practices and with things that are foreign to you and make sense of them. And this is one of those big, big moments of activating at a psychological level what spirituality means to you. In a practical way, the ninth house can represent teaching, writing, publishing, more the publishing side of things. It's having teachers come into your life or being a teacher yourself. Once you have put together all of the third house Gemini knowledge into something that is a bigger picture, purposeful process that integrates a lot of different ideas into a system, which is Aquarius. With this jam-packed activation to Pluto party happening, there's going to be a psychological layer, and there's going to be a layer of things that have never been done before. The ruler of Aquarius, your ninth house, is Uranus, which is in your 12th house, and that adds another layer of divine psychic download information that you're understanding energy and spirituality in a whole new way. You're understanding how it relates to relationships. You're understanding how it relates to creating harmonious relationships, listening to other people's perspectives, even if they don't make any sense to you at the moment. That's a Gemini strength anyway, but an important piece of this full moon. It is about taking action to create radical change and break the mold of past systems. This is wonderful. I love seeing this energy in the ninth house for Geminis because there's so much cerebral, mind-opening information and expansive knowledge of the world at large. What does it mean to combine all of these foreign concepts and ideas and make something new? What does it mean to have Mars here and to take action at a psychological level in these ways? Geminis could be people that are bridging the gaps right now and helping initiate and make connections where opposing or power struggles or ideas just don't fit together. It's Geminis that are seeing how these ideas actually do fit together. And you might have a role in community right now of expressing that. You might have a teaching role where you are teaching more of that in your life. And if that's not the case, it's just happening at a personal level where you're taking in the concepts of the world in a radically new way from a psychological perspective. It could completely reverse the ways that you have been thinking about the world up until this point. Pluto has the power to do that, and it is in this part of your chart for another 17 years at least. So you have a longer journey here of that, but this is a huge moment for the next 2-year cycle of 1 year for some of these planets, but 2 years for Mars, of what is going to manifest from these activations. And it's going to have to do with yourself, your communication tools, how you view your creativity, how you put that into media, writing, sales pitches. How do you sell yourself? How do you sell yourself from a place that's authentic and not selling what you think other people want to see? It doesn't matter if you're actually in sales or you're trying to sell anything. It's more how you present yourself from an intellectual communication, writing, words perspective. It's these communication tools that we use to present who we really are with anyone we're connecting with. And this is a moment where you get a complete reworking of the big picture of this in some way. You could feel more excited to take on new education with Mars being this part of your chart and the activations with the sun that have been happening in Pluto. It's whatever you're taking on at an educational level that is going to completely transform your psychology, regardless of what it is that you're taking, in ways that maybe you didn't expect. Aquarius and Uranus bring an unexpected edge. It's not based on the past. It's based on breaking the mold of the past and the things that no longer work and moving forward with something new. And what needs to be released is where the moon is. That is something to do with your mind, the way you think about things in a daily way, the way you use your mind to get words out. And really, it makes me think about the monkey mind. If there's anything that is circling in your psyche and blocking you from feeling like a vibrant, expressive Leo, if you don't feel seen for the words that you say, or you don't feel like people are seeing you in an authentic way when you express, this is a moment where something shifts, something comes to light, something gets released in this communication part of your chart. Maybe again, in a practical way, this could be vehicles, neighborhoods, relatives. There could be a connection there, but most of the theme could be your mind and your communication. So keep that in the forefront. What would you like to release at this time, and how is it going to make your connections to other people that much stronger? How is it going to connect bonds with people that are foreign, that are different, that seemingly don't fit, that could be the odd ones out, but that could be your best teachers and create some of the most profound change that helps you move forward in whatever way you are working out in your particular life experience, details, and path. Soon, I think it's April, Uranus is going to be in your sign. More on that, but this is going to be even more of this Aquarian radical change to who you are as your innate reflexive self, who you came into this world as a Gemini, and how you've been operating at a level of reflex versus a level of consciously choosing how you want to use those Gemini strengths and moving forward from that place. So more on that, but for now, I would love to hear what's going on in this full moon communication part of your chart. How are you integrating this into the big picture? What psychological changes are you going through? How is this working in harmony with others or working to stand up and protect your own belief systems in new ways? Lots of potentials, but thanks for just being here, chatting with me in the comments, reaching out for Zoom calls. My booking link will be in the description below. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Cancer. This full moon is in your second house. This is about what you value and how it aligns with your authenticity. Leo here is natural alignment to what you value. I think a lot of Cancers hold that quite strongly. But this moment could help you recognize all of this eighth house polarity energy where the Sun, Pluto, Mars, Mercury, and Venus are all in connection to this full moon, highlighting your psychology. This is the Pluto house. This is your psychological transformation. This is how you merge with others at an energetic level, at a psychological level. This is deep, intimate bonding. This is resources from other people that support you. But it's about connection. And the full moon being in your second house is about shedding light on what it is about self that maybe is blocking you or keeping you at a distance from more energetic connection with others. Cancerian energy is naturally a protective sign that is focused on family security, safety, that home life that feels like the protective crab shell. Everyone has a unique chart that might amplify Cancerian energy or amplify other parts of your chart that balance it out. But when I see a full moon in the second house of Leo for Cancer, there's something that wants to shine forth, burst forth, that wants to be seen about who you truly are, what you value, your assets. You could be motivated financially right now. You might release some attachments that you've had to finances or assets or possessions. You might release something at this full moon where you have attached energy of self to your possessions, your assets, your material worth, or something that you valued about yourself that was not as authentic as it could be. And when you shed some of these second house survival attachments, there's room for something else to merge that's maybe less physical, that's more about your creative expression and your creative light being seen by others, specifically for some of you in an intimate connection, on those one-on-one partnership connections where it's less about creating this safe, practical home that in some ways can be a false layer of security when you have your physical domain to retreat to and everything looks good in a really practical, comfortable sense. Wonderful. You don't want to lose that completely. But if any Cancers have been hiding or feeling like there's a sense of safety in this practical assets that they've created a home with, there might be a moment here where you realize there's deeper energy to break through and feel more connected and safe at an energetic level with other people, not just in the safety of home. The eighth house is about having your subconscious projected out for you to see. And with this many planets in your 8th house of Aquarius, I can't see too many Cancers not going through a moment of seeing these projections of your own psyche more visible to you. How do you connect with others with Venus here? How do you listen and relate and create harmony and beauty in your relationships? How do you assert yourself in a way that protects you with Mars here, but still lets people in? Aquarius is a sign that is naturally a bit detached. It understands from this detached place, the Aquarius archetype can witness the whole picture. It can witness the system from a distance and understand the functionalities of all of it. But there's an isolating quality to that where in Aquarius we can feel like the odd one out. We don't necessarily feel connected. We feel like the person that sees things differently than the people who are in the group. And when you have this in the 8th house, there can be a feeling of psychologically detaching from other people. And this is a moment where you're starting brand new cycles for the next year, for the next 2 years with Mars, on how you want to merge with another psychologically and how that might help you feel materially supported by another. The 8th house is the work that we put in after the 7th house where the partnership is ignited. This could be business partnerships, marriage, romantic, any type of committed long-term relationship that you have with a significant other person that is here for your psychological growth. In these days, marriage and relationship partners and even business partners are not in the forefront, but there are other significant karmic relationships that are going to show up for everyone, that are going to play a role in opening up our psyche, allowing us to see the patterns in our minds, in our power struggles, our shadow sides of life that we might not want to sit with all the time, like moments where we feel jealous and that we want more control over the world, or possessiveness, obsession. All of this energy in your 8th house can also have to do with taxes and debts. It can have to do with divination tools. So you might be diving into tarot and astrology and other spiritual practices. A wonderful time for psychological therapy of any kind, where you're using any tool to look at what it is that's going on for you at a subconscious level. What is it about your sense of safety that's coming out in protective mechanisms with Mars and Pluto here that might be blocking you from more connection, more security, more balanced energy exchange between self and other, because this 2nd and 8th house axis is also about how you manage your own energy, time, resources, money, assets, and how that merges with another person with all these planets in your 8th house. But we need to meet in the middle. We need to find common ground where our own energy is not depleted, our own assets are not being held on to too tightly or also let go of too easily. And this is going to be a unique journey for each person. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, of your 8th house, and that is in your 11th house. So there's a layer, another layer, 11th house. 11th house is Aquarius by classic position. So this adds another layer of collective community, your allies. Who are the people in this world that are growing, learning, evolving alongside you? And how are you breaking through old ways of doing things together? So though I've been talking a lot about the 2nd and 8th house axis, where it's about yourself and a significant partner, there are 2 layers, with Aquarius being the ruler of your 8th house and also its ruler in your 11th. These have to do with collective community. Just adding that as another piece to think about. Think about the people around you as going on this journey with you, as everyone supporting each other, even if conflicts arise. Conflicts are always to help both parties look at things differently. They're probes for each of us to start thinking about why that conflict happened, what we can do to make it different next time, We are programmed for connection and harmony, not conflict. So when conflict arises, it's one of these perfect designs that makes us focus on it, makes us try to figure out ways to avoid it next time. And that's where the growth comes from. So if any challenges are showing up in the collective or with your partnerships, think about them as just poking points to create change, to create growth, and maybe a rupture in the way that things have been done. And this is a moment where there's an opportunity to just think about something and get an intuitive sense of what can be done that you haven't thought of before or that hasn't been done before, and make radical change. So lots of exciting potential here in this full moon energy. I hope this is going really well for you, Cancer. And if you would like to chat more with your personal chart, check out my booking link in the description below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here, chatting in the comments. It really is inspiring to hear what's going on in individual lives. But mostly have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Leo. This is a full moon in your sign. This is your full moon of the year, and this one has a lot to do with partnerships. Typically, with your full moon, you're going to have the sun in your 7th house, and that is still going to illuminate something with self and other that adds to your perspective of who you are. This is a moment of illumination or culminating or shedding something that is the way that you have been and the way that you want to move forward in the next chapter of your life as it relates to other. And for this full moon, you have the Sun, Pluto, Mars, Mercury, and Venus all in opposition to this moon. This is huge for all parts of your life as it relates to other people. Significant partnerships, business partnerships, marriage, karmic relationships. How is it that other people in the world show you pieces of who you are, and how do you reflect who other people are back to them? It's through this process right now that you're finding more harmony in relationships through a bird's eye view perspective. You could be feeling more detached from relationships right now than you sometimes do. You might be realizing more about what you need to create at your personal internal level and not necessarily depend on another person to fill or feed that energy back into your life. But it's through observing your partner, it's through your partner observing you, that you figure out brand new revolutionary ways to merge with another person, Venus here, to understand both parties and be able to see objectively where each person's coming from. And that involves listening to the other person, Venus, as it pertains to Libra, which is the partnership house. How much are you really taking in another person, as well as the expectation that they fully listen and see you? As a Leo, there can be a strong need for that in life. You really want people to see you for who you really are, not their projections, not any false protective selves that you have led your persona with, the real, authentic, creative being that you are. That light, vibrant, important, regal, Leonian, creative energy that is at the core of all of us, but especially strong in a Leo. There could be power struggles in relationships with a Mars-Pluto conjunction. There could be communication work to do. There could be a lot of desire to talk within relationships right now. So if Mars and Pluto have activated any psychological shadow sides of relationships, like jealousy, possession, obsession, wanting to control situations, this is a flare up with intention to be able to see things differently and objectively, and look at how you and your partner initiate the communication and the opportunity to describe what it is that you're each seeing and going through, and figure out that middle point on the 1st and 7th house axis. There's so much importance here in relationships in general, in not losing self, yet finding healthy merging. There's excitement with Mars here. There's passion with Mars in your seventh house. There's romantic passion with Venus here. There could be obsessive and just emotions that completely overtake your being when it comes to another person. And these are wonderful attraction pieces that merge two people together. Mars and squares in synastry and the more challenging aspects in astrology, they are very, very important when it comes to partnership. It's through these sparks that we create conflict, that we create change within ourselves, that we create growth through how we work on relationships and how we try to harmonize with other people. It's in this attempt with harmonizing with something that's different than us or that challenges how we've been in the past that we can create something completely different from. And that's your mission as a Leo, because you have Uranus in the seventh house, and it is all about seeing relationships and other people from an objective bird's eye view. And it's about creating a system that hasn't been done before. A lot of Leos, Leo rising, sun, moon, you could have a desire or you could somehow walk a path where your relationships are not traditional. They're different. They're unique. They work for you. They create more creativity because you're a Leo, more love, more open-heartedness. And Leos could be on a path that helps lead others to this more open-hearted, vibrant Leonian space, especially at the time of a Leo full moon. These planets in the seventh house also all represent different parts of your chart. And because we have so much activity here, I won't go into all of them, but Venus does rule your third house and your 10th house. So career and communication could be part of this. Status changes, how you're seen in the world, how you're seen in the world with your partner. You could be reaching new status levels within relationships where you're being seen with your partner, and that's part of what's bringing new cycles to your relationships. But when you have this many planets in connection to a full moon and in your partnership house, it means that partnerships right now are going to be connected to all aspects of your life, almost all. Uranus is the ruler of your seventh house of partnerships as well. And Uranus is in your 10th house where status can change. You could be breaking the mold with how you manage your own authority, how you manage your career, your public visibility, and as it relates to significant partners in your life. This could be business too. So there's a lot of overlap with 10th house, career, communication. Self and partnerships are still the main focus of this transit, but think about whatever's showing up right now as an opportunity to start a new psychological threshold, a new way of operating with people, a new way of operating with yourself, of feeling open-hearted and creative and aligned with who you really are, not the person that you want to be seen, which could be the breakthrough that Uranus is doing in your 10th house of public visibility. We naturally, without thinking about it, often lead with how we want to be seen. It's not a cognitive choice sometimes. It's just also a part of really who we are. But sometimes those are automatic protective layers that take away from our ability to be open-hearted with all of who we are, flaws and all. And we're in an era right now where that is more socially acceptable to be out there with the realness of life. And this could be a moment where that feels very real for you and you're doing something radically different with it, with Uranus being the highlight of your 10th house and your 7th house of partnerships. You're breaking through old patterns. You're not following traditional paths. You're figuring out new things about yourself. You're figuring out new things about relationships. This is very exciting for Leos out there. And even though this is a full moon in your sign, this is interesting energy to be starting new relationships, going out there and dating, starting new cycles with Pluto, which can be the deepest bonding. A lot of people are afraid to talk about Pluto, Mars, Saturn, sometimes seen as the more challenging planets, but that's where the depth and richness is in relationships. And that's what you have right now with Pluto and Mars here. You have passion for that. So it could show up in many different ways for everyone. It could be uncomfortable energy. It could be deep, profound, transformational, overtaking energy. And regardless, it's starting a new cycle of operating in partnerships. And I would love to hear all about it, whatever you feel like sharing. It's so much fun chatting with you in the comments below. So thank you for that. Thank you for hanging out for this video. If you would like more and chat one-on-one with me over Zoom, my readings for a limited time are still 150 Canadian for an hour. I will link my booking link below. So take advantage of that if you feel called to. Regardless, have a wonderful Leo full moon in your sign, and I will see you next time. Hi, Virgo. This is the 12th house full moon in Leo. This is all about the energy that you lead with. This is the energy that is at the core of you, that is most authentically you. And this is about clearing away anything that has been blocking you from leading with authentic energy rather than the energetic layers of protection that have built up around you. This is going to come through health stuff. Health, daily routines, work, the tasks you get done every day, your ability to accomplish things, your service to self, your service to others, your habits. Pluto and all of these other planets have just gone through their inauguration cycles in your 6th house of Aquarius. And this has to do with the psychology around the things you do every day, your relationships to other people, how this relates to your health, the initiation that you take on these matters, the way that you deal with your protective mechanisms around Pluto topics like control, jealousy, obsession. You have psychological transformational stuff that's showing up in your daily habits. What is it about your work life that can change at an energetic and psychological level? What is it about health and routines that could use these energetic and psychological shifts? For you, Virgo, the Pluto activations with the Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Venus are all happening in your 6th house. So it's about the psychological transformation you do with this work area and health area of your life, as well as the 12th house being very energetic. It is that brewing place of the energy before we take action. A full moon in the 12th house can have to do with meditation, that energetic control over your life, rest, overseas places, faraway places, all the Piscean topics of ocean and unseen realms, unseen elements and particles in our life and in our environment. There could be unseen stuff that comes to light at a full moon in your 12th house of Leo that is going to have to do with self. It's going to have to do with activating and opening up your vitality. But unseen things coming to light also have an opportunity to create big transformations in your work life, in your health life, in the way that you conduct service, in the way that you conduct your daily routines and habits. The ruler of your 6th house, where all this Pluto activity is going on in Aquarius, is Uranus. And it's in your 9th house of spiritual processes, overall belief systems, truths about the world, how you gather knowledge and make purpose out of it. The teachers in your life, the teachings that you do, your perspectives on the world, the way that you integrate foreign information, foreign concepts, foreign people, foreign places, everything that is not innate to you. How do you incorporate all of this knowledge into something that has purpose, that is spiritual, that it has spiritual practices, that is teachable, that you can teach and integrate to yourself? So this is very health spiritual activation for Virgos. A lot of you could be in teaching work around spiritual, psychological healing in some way, and this is a moment where a lot of that starts to burst forth or initiate for what you're moving towards. You could need more rest at a full moon like this. This is about a timeout. This is about your own intuitive processing and not necessarily taking action, though with these planets in your sixth house, there could be work that's unfolding. There could be plans that are unfolding, but I still see this as very psychological for Virgos because of Pluto's presence here. And that makes everything a bit less tangible. The results in your sixth house could be tangible. So you might find that you down the road, or even at the moment, you start to see your work practices click into place. You start to see harmony develop with people that you interact with in a day-to-day way in the sixth house. It's anything that is part of our daily routines and experience. And Venus here is about relationships and harmony and love and beauty. So you're pouring a little bit of love into this part of your life, which I like for Virgos, having Venus in the sixth house. You are articulating things really well. You're putting that into a sensical, functional, practical piece. You have Mars here, so you're motivated to do so. Your psychological awareness is in it. There's a lot of power right now in your ability to work on something that's really important to you, get work done in general in life, get a hold or make changes of your health and your routines. But this comes from a spiritual perspective in the 12th house Leo full moon. This comes from your spiritual practices and the ways that you integrate your beliefs with Uranus in your 9th house. For some of you, this could have to do with travel, overseas places, foreign countries, foreign people. There just could be part of the story unfolding for you that way. But the focus is on your energetic processing, how you transform yourself at an energetic level. How does that show up so that you can then radiate that authentic Leo solar vitality at an energetic level first, and then let it filter through the rest of your life. For Virgos, this is also a wonderful time to shift any dissociative patterns. So I see this full moon in the 12th house. It can sometimes amplify areas that we don't see, areas that we're dissociating from life. But with all of this energy balancing the 6th and 12th house, there's an opportunity for really connecting with what matters, taking breaks when you need to, disconnecting from life for sure, but doing it from a conscious, healthy place and not a subconscious unplugging and not seeing what's really going on. So that could be part of what is bringing an illumination to something that wasn't seen before, that was a protective mechanism of putting the blindfolds on and not looking at something as clearly as you might be right now, especially as it relates to you and who you really are. I would love to hear how this is showing up for you Virgos, especially because all of these Pluto activations happened in the Virgo house, the 6th house. It is in Aquarius, but by rising sign, this places it in your 6th house of work, and that's you. It's what you're good at. Organizing, getting things done, focusing on your health. And it looks like you're working some magic right now at putting your sorcerer abilities into this, taking rest and intuitive breaks when you need it. So rest and intuition come together. Our intuition is at its best when we are not pushing forward in the 6th house like all of these planets do. There is a lot of balancing that I see happening for Virgos in the house of rest and work and productivity and energy and things taking on their material form. It's so much fun hearing the details from Virgos in the comments. There's so much going on with the nodal axis still being on the Virgo Pisces axis. We'd love to hear from you there if you feel like it. And if you want more with a personal reading with me, I will link my booking site in the description below. Still 150 Canadian for 60 minutes for the time being, but that will change. Thank you so much for hanging out here with me. Happy full moon in Leo in your 12th house, and I will see you next time. Hi Libra. This is an 11th house full moon for you. So this is all about self as it relates to community. You are one of the signs where these themes are amplified even more. And as seemingly fitting for a Libra, you are being called to balance this axis even further of self and other, because they are flipped. You have Aquarius in the sign of Leo, self, the fifth house, the classic position. And then the classic position of Aquarius, the 11th house, is where you have Leo. So where it comes to community and integrating self and being seen for your bright, shining solar vitality of authentic, creative self-expression of who you are in the world, you need community for this. You need to integrate this into a sense of going along in this world with other people. I've been playing around with thinking about this axis of 5th and 11th house as it relates to, if we don't reflect our light onto another thing, if it doesn't land somewhere, if it's not seen, does it really matter? And it makes me think of the saying of, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to see it or hear it, did it really fall? Of course, yes. But the idea of that saying is that we need to be witnessed. We need to group. We need to go alongside with others in order to really continue to express ourselves. Behind closed doors just doesn't work. We need a witness. So who are your witnesses? Who is your team? Who do you feel aligned with? But at this full moon, you're going to be shown what really matters to you at the level of creative self-expression. And it's from being really clear on what you value of yourself, of what feels real to you, and coexisting or without, but mostly coexisting with the protective layers that we put up around how we express ourselves, the ways that we were trained to speak so that others would receive it, the ways we were trained to dress and behave so that we fit in with the group, or the ways that we decided to go against that and create something that was uniquely us, but maybe it made us feel like an outcast. Maybe it made us feel like we needed to walk this path over here while others who talk and walk a different story walk over somewhere else. This is a moment where it all comes together. There are themes and cycles kicking off in your 5th house, which means you're breaking through psychological patterning that has been blocking you from feeling more creative, from having fun, from being really like expressing yourself in a clear, authentic, aligned way, from shining brightly. But first it could come with an amplification of these Pluto energies. Is there competition? Is there jealousy? Are there power struggles in relationships? Is there comparison that is happening that is holding you back from being who you want to be? When I talk about this, I don't want it to sound like these are problems. These are very normal ways that we are designed to be. This is how we learn to get along in groups and communities. We have cognitive and psychological defaults that we develop certain ways of walking and talking and being by mimicking what is accepted by people who feed back what is okay and what is not okay. This all happens before the age of 4. And I was just talking to another astrologer this morning about how the progress chart is a day for every year that we live from the first. So if I live to 87 years, the first 87 years of my life in astrology are mapped out from the sun's path for the first 87 days. And you look at that chart. So this could speak to even earlier how quickly we form a reality as an infant. It could happen in the first 180, whatever the number you want to use, days of our birth chart. And then we spend the rest of our lives trying to be more real, trying to be more unique. And luckily we're in a time right now where we're allowed to do that, where we are not shamed to conform as much as we used to be historically. Not that that doesn't still exist, but it's still better than it was. So when we have moments like this on the Leo Aquarius axis, these are moments where, particularly at this time, could come through challenging tension, but still of seeing where we can change and where we can break the mold, where we can be psychologically different, where we can let go of something that was making us feel connected to the group, but was taking away from self, or let go of something that we were really held on as a point of security about self within the group that might need to change to create more synergy within the group. I love this for Libras to have your ruler, Venus, having gone through this conjunction. This could have been even harder for you psychologically as a result, with Mars and Pluto here having conjoined Venus at separate times, but still nonetheless all together in Aquarius, your ruler. You could have felt more inflamed with agitation, motivation, frustration, wanting to move forward. This could have amplified Pluto psychological projections of who you are when it comes to merging with other people. Luckily, Venus and Mercury are here, and Mercury is not in its strongest position, but still, I like Mercury in no matter what position it is in, because it, even when it's more challenged, it slows down and it reprocesses, it integrates intellectually, it reconfigures how we speak because things got challenging and we need to do some reworking. You're seeing a new cycle with your ruler, with all of these planets, and it has to do with relationships. It has to do with you. This could be wonderful energy for dating because all of these Pluto conjunctions happened in your fifth house. Creativity and expression of true self are first and foremost, but dating is in the fifth house because that's when we express these parts of ourselves with joy and play, and that initial excitement of getting to know someone and both people expressing parts of themselves. There's an amplification of self-expression that happens in the initial stages of relationships. So there's a lot of activity here where new relationships could come into your life. These are the infatuation energies that can brew up. It's not that it can't turn into something long. It's that the initial stages would be exciting. They would pull on your psychological strings, but they are still a wonderful way that you can work with all of this Pluto new cycle energy and improve your communication of self, improve your bonding techniques, improve how you create harmony in relationships with balance to self within group. And having like-minded goals when you have a full moon in the 11th house. You could have a sudden awareness of, or an illuminated awareness of what you want to work towards, what really matters to you. And then you could be letting go of some groups and networks as a result. The moon can dissolve or something could come to completion with the communities you've been a part of. But that's because you had a realization of what's more authentic, what could be a better fit, and you're clearing a way to make room for new cycles and new people to show up in this part of your life. That's another thing that the planets do as they move around the zodiac, is that they create growth and clearing cycles, because we can't have energy too congested in one place and expect change. It needs to be cleared, and that's how it goes with the seasons too. We go through, well, in the Northern Hemisphere specifically, we go through seasons of dying off to make room for the new. And I have decided in the Southern Hemisphere too, leaves still fall to the ground to make room for new ones on the tree. Otherwise, there would be no space for new leaves. All of that aside, Libra, this is a wonderful transit to align with people that matter to you, but more importantly, you are understanding what is fun for you, what hobbies you want to be a part of, what creative self-expression is really important to you, and anything else that's fifth house and fun and real. Real is the bottom line. Thank you so much for hanging out here, Libra. If you would like more, I do one-on-one Zoom readings. Check out my booking link in the description below. Thank you so much for chatting with me in the comments and making all of this come alive. But mostly, thank you for just being here and hanging out for this video. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Scorpio. This is a 10th house full moon for you. So this is all about your status in the world, your inner authority, your career, your public visibility. This is a wonderful moment to be seen for who you are. And when you have the right audience, whatever presentations you're doing or public work you're doing, or just who you are out in the world, people are seeing you for a strength and a light that is really aligned with you at this moment. And it's coming from your 4th house where Pluto has been conjoining Mars, Mercury, the Sun, and Venus for brand new cycles and massive transformation with your home, your inner world, the psychology that you inherited from your family lineage, the way that you were raised to be. These qualities could be changing your practical home life, but it's changing you from the inside out. It's making your authority be seen for something that is gentle with a new cycle with Pluto and Venus. This is about having peace and harmony within your personal relationships from the inside. This is about seeing the Aquarius bird's eye view perspective, seeing things differently, seeing things objectively in your inner world, and starting a new cycle with how you initiate things, Mars and Pluto, how you communicate all of what you're seeing, Venus and Pluto in Aquarius, and the Sun. The Sun represents your 10th house. So this is how your inner solar fire and Leo authentic qualities and your outer authentic qualities align to be the same. There are things that we innately adopted to just be professional. That's the 10th house. It is our work persona. It is coming across a certain way. We've been taught that there are certain professionalisms or business manners we need to use. But at times they have taken away from an authentic nature of operating with other human beings. And we're in an era now where those old traditional power dynamic tactics aren't working, and especially power struggles because of all of these new cycles with Pluto. Pluto is about the power struggles and the more shadow side of the collective when we're talking about Aquarius, but this is your inner world. But these themes are still applicable. In astrology and all of life, it's always the inner and the outer, the micro and the macro. And as we work on one, the other changes, vice versa. So that's where working on our inner world can be a very important tool for changing the world around us. And this is one of those moments for you. You're seeing things objectively. This often in Aquarius can feel like you're an outsider, like you see things in ways that other people don't, and that can be really hard. So if you grew up that way, if you felt that way in your family structure and unit, that you just had a vision and an understanding of how things work in a family dynamic way, specifically with the 4th house, that your family didn't see or didn't understand, this is a time where you're breaking through maybe some of the psychological conditioning that being different left you with. And you're starting to use this as a conscious tool for how you want to create home and family, for who you want to be out in the world. Your status can change with a full moon in the 10th house, the upper position of your chart. You can have a career that changes or dissolves or is just time to let go of. It's come to fruition. It's reached as far as it can go, or it's reaching a new level in your life, in the work that you do. You could be getting a promotion of some kind, and the work you did has met its threshold, and you're walking into something new, maybe down the road, maybe right away. Outside of the physical ways that this can manifest, there is an energetic change that's at play, and that has to do with your inner energetic sense of safety and security as well when it relates to the 4th house. These new cycles with Pluto in the 4th house at the bottom of your chart could be activating and expanding an awareness of your psychological patterning at first. in order to make sense of it with Mercury here, process it differently with Pluto being the ruler of transformation, and create something brand new, which is the Aquarius component. The ruler of your fourth house, Aquarius, is Uranus, and that is finishing its last degree transit in your partnership house. So, significant people in your life, partnerships, business partnerships, they're part of this story. They might be provoking some of the activity that's happening in your inner world and fourth house of home. And it could be through other people that these projections of your psychology are coming into play. But just see it as that and just realize that it's more about the process of what you do with this information and not the situations themselves or the perceived struggle. Sometimes a Mars-Pluto conjunction, we also had the Moon-Pluto conjunction. It can expand more uncomfortable psychological patterns within ourselves that have the opportunity to be reworked in a more present way, that have the opportunity to create something different in this present moment and help our psychology get on board with what's current and not the fears of what have been. And that's a big piece with Pluto too, is that it can activate any fear that you have. If you are someone that is creating a home with a partner or getting married, because 10th house can sometimes be status, there can be fears that come up with big life changes. And regardless, again, of the ways that this shows up in the material world, you are having all this activity on the quadrants, the main axes in the chart. These are the parts of the chart that were designed based on the horizon at the time of your birth and the lowest and highest point that the sun traveled around the earth that day. Regardless of constellations, their patterns, the chart systems, however we map astrology, that can create a lot of challenges and distrust in astrology because they're all so different. These axes do not change. They are the horizon and the path of the sun the day you were born. And when you have transits on these axes, they are potent. They will usually come up more significantly in the person's life. And I'm saying this for the Scorpios out there, Pluto's your ruler. So you, of all signs, are, again, going to feel this more, but you are not a stranger to Plutonian topics. You are a Plutonian. You might still have a lot of resistance to the transformations and the cycles of psychological upheaval and purging that can be ongoing in your life. Nobody likes it, I don't think. I mean, people that maybe don't actually feel a whole lot, but then there's a story of disconnection going on there. I personally am someone who's making a life of it with astrology, and even with as much conscious awareness as I bring to myself, which is never perfect, of course, but what I'm trying to say is that when I'm in those psychological upheavals and purges, it's hard. It's still hard. I'm not untouched by that, no matter how much education and awareness I bring to it. So if you're going through that, be as patient as you can, and you'll see, I think, a big release come this full moon exact moment on February 1st, February 2nd, depending on where you are in the world. That is going to be the pressure release, as full moons often are, that are going to help you see the benefit of whatever happened in your inner world and your home life, and see how this full moon is actually taking you to a new place at the top of your chart, which is your 10th house of career, status, public image, visibility. This is a wonderful part of your chart to strengthen, no matter how the journey gets you there, because when you are seen in a certain light, in some ways, that's all that matters from a Leo perspective. How are we being witnessed to the brightness and the vibrancy that we bring to the world? If it's not witnessed, it could be solar energy that's going nowhere, and that's why full moons are so powerful. There's a reflection from the sun to the moon and back that amplifies, that makes things seen, that makes things visible, that highlights a new awareness for us. And otherwise, there are just moments of darkness where we don't see what's actually going on. So it's these visible moments that are great. It is Leo in your 10th house that is creating this visible moment for you. So whatever it is that you're doing, it is a wonderful time to take those opportunities to be out there in the world. I think you're going to like what this creates from the full moon onward, and hopefully the process as well. I would love to hear how this is going for Scorpios. It's so much fun connecting with you in the comments and making this video stuff really come alive. If you would like more time with me, I do one-on-one Zoom readings. I do 150 Canadian for 60 minutes, which is my introductory low rate for now, and that will change. So if you're feeling called to, hop on that now. And otherwise, have a wonderful full moon. Thanks for hanging out for this video, and I will see you next time. Hi, Sag. This is a 9th house full moon for you in Leo. But by classic position, the 9th house is a Sagittarius house. So this has more connection to you and how you operate authentically as a Sag. But really, how bright you shine. This is like a Jupiter-Sun conjunction for you. How do you radiate your solar Leo-like energy in the house of Jupiter, of Sagittarius, of truth and exploration of foreign ideas, broadening your horizons and your perspectives, creating new belief systems, traveling to foreign places, meeting foreign people, teaching, finding new teachers that can teach you something you didn't know before. This is a house of wisdom and knowledge. And with Leo here and this full moon, this is how you shine as an individual for this Sagittarius knowledge. Being able to express these big truths about the world and your belief systems from a place of feeling authentic within yourself, not needing to push your ideas on anyone or your concepts on anyone or make anyone else believe these things, but exist from a place of trusting that you can be different than the rest, outside the pack or outside the group, which is where we're having all of this Uranian energy in your 3rd house. The Aquarius part of your chart, Uranus being the ruler. And I'll talk about that, but really it's this tension between how you feel strong in yourself, even if that's different. With Aquarius in your 3rd house and these Pluto conjunctions, you have Pluto, the Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Venus all in Aquarius. And they have all just gone through new cycles together. This means that relationships, communication, your solar power and your ability to express your ideas in a way that has purpose, your ability to gather knowledge, and your daily mind, the way you use your mind in a functional way, is all going through a new cycle. I love this energy on the 3rd and 9th axis. This is a knowledge superpower. This is using your brain in a new way. This is clearing out the muck that the subconscious patterns can wreak havoc on our daily functioning mind. If you obsess over things during the day, you might have gone through that in the past couple of weeks where you've had more obsessive thoughts, more frustrating feelings, more feelings like you need to control your own thoughts or control other people's. There could be power struggles within relationships and communication, and this is purposeful in finding a new way forward. It's when conflict arises with Mars being present and psychological expansion and eruption with Pluto being here that we work a little bit harder to make sense of things. And Venus's presence is like this little lucky charm that's saying, hey, there's harmony that's possible. There's harmony in a new way forward with Venus in Aquarius. We can break this mold. We can do something different. We can purge and release old ways of thinking and speaking. That's the Pluto. And make room for what's new. That's Aquarius. So the ruler of Aquarius, as I mentioned, being in your 6th house, is about how you do this in a day-to-day way, how your mental loops and your mental operations contribute to your daily routines, your productivity, your health, your habits, how you manage and organize your life, the things you do every day, the mundane tasks that serve our lives or serve other people's lives, like taking care of the home, taking care of our bodies, brushing our teeth, washing our dishes. Mundane, small tasks, but meaningful. It's meaningful when we take care of our business and our life is in order, our health is in order, our life is functioning. With Aquarius in the 6th house, anything that has been in overdrive or underdrive in the sign of Taurus, or just too rigid, Taurus is a fixed sign, so too stagnant or just not changing. Uranus is here to change those daily habit ways. And it's connected to your communication. It's connected to your higher wisdom, new teachers coming into your life. A full moon in the 9th house could bring an ending to a teacher in your life or a type of education that you've been going through. Usually this is post-secondary education, bigger scholarly educational programs, or a new one could be showing up that is mind-blowingly transformational, with Pluto going through all these cycles in the house of mind. The 3rd house, where Pluto is going through these mind cycles, is also transportation, cousins, close relatives, neighbors, short distance travel, and elementary school. Also media, knowledge that we share for marketing purposes, newspaper, radio, all of these things. So just wanted to add that as far as the different ways that things could show up to transform your thoughts and your mind and your communication. Media that you take in, if you write or put out media and material of any kind, then it's taking on a whole new form. This Leo full moon is highlighting something different about the big picture that you want to funnel everything through. You're reaching a new level of wisdom, and that's showing up in your communication, and it's going to change daily habits as well. Because we have such a big cluster of planets in Aquarius, for everybody, it's lighting up a lot of other aspects of your chart. For you, I will mention that your partnership house with Venus, Mercury rules Gemini, your partnership house, and Venus is the ruler of partnerships, Libra. With these connecting in your 3rd house, relationship communication could be extra important. And Mars, Pluto brings more emphasis on your 5th house of Leo stuff like creative self-expression, play, children, how you have fun in the world. So think about that with the 9th house of wisdom. Those are the themes that are going to be more important, is children, play, authenticity. If you are a teacher, this is a time where you can align with something that feels more playful and more fun, more authentic to you, and not the standard teacher role. And vice versa. You could have a teacher that comes into your life that helps you feel more playful and enjoy life more because you're living in alignment with yourself better. And teachers can come in any form. They can be people that we don't even recognize as someone who's come in and out of our life or in our life and has changed how we view the world and been a teacher in some capacity. With the 9th house, spiritual topics and spiritual processes could be part of it. So you could be letting go of an old spiritual process, a way of thinking about the world, making room for a new one. You might have reached a threshold with a spiritual endeavor, or just searching for a sort of truth in general. And it can relate to so many parts of our life because there's so much going on in Aquarius right now. But relationships are certainly a strong one. But I would love to hear from you, Sag. Let me know how this is playing out in your life. These Pluto conjunctions in your communication house could have brought some mental stress, tension. But by the time of this full moon, you're going to see this bursting of pressure that is helping you see the purpose of how this brought you to a place that's more authentic and more wise, and ultimately more fun and joy and play and what Sag doesn't love that? So this really aligns with a lot of Sagittarius energy as I see it. But you let me know. Thank you so much for hanging out here and chatting with me in the comments. And if you would like more, my booking link will be in the description below. I do one-on-one Zoom calls. But thanks for just being here and checking out this video. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Capricorn. This is an 8th house full moon for you, so this is all about how you merge with another person. This is shared resources, psychological connection, psychological transformation. This is how significant partners support you, and that could be financial, energetic, mental, emotionally. The other component, though, is that partnerships often support our own psychological transformation, whether they're actually supportive or they just show up as a way to create upheaval in our psychological field so that we go through a transformation and an acknowledgement of what's been going on in the subconscious and an ability to release and let it go, especially a full moon in this part of your chart. On the other side of this full moon, the tension that's being created is Pluto, our 8th house planet of psychological transformation and upheaval and the shadow side of life, has been conjoining Mars, Mercury, the Sun, and Venus as it goes through activations of new cycles for the next year and 2 years with Mars. These activations to Pluto are making you look at your own worth, your own power of the energy that you manage in your life and your world, your assets, your values, what you eat, and how you nourish your body. The thing with Aquarius is that wherever Aquarius is in our chart, which for you we're talking about the 2nd house, this can be an area of life where we have understandings, observations, intuitive sense of things, but really we can see things from an observer, bird's eye view that other people might not necessarily see things that way. This can make people feel like an outsider in the Aquarius part of their chart. So you might have had this sense or this experience where people don't share the same values as you, they don't manage their assets the same way, they don't eat the same way, and you have an innate wisdom about these things that frustrates you that other people don't get that. This is a moment where you're shedding a lot of that, where you're letting go and you're just letting be. This is part of what allows connection in a system and coherence and getting along within the human realm that we live in, and we have to get along with people. And the thing that I like to point out is that we all have Aquarius in our charts. We all have a part of our lives that we see differently and we feel like an outsider because of it. So thinking about that means that everybody feels like an outsider in one part of their life. Not everyone talks about it, not everyone recognizes it, but when we allow for all of these differences and we accept that that's just the way humans are created, we can move forward in the collective Aquarius energy with acceptance of this Leo unique fire and flame that we all have. My hope is that, myself included, we take less offense by things that are different, people that don't see our perspective or understand it, and also more compassion for those views that are opposing and different to ours. When you have this Pluto activity in your 2nd house, though, what can happen is an upheaval about your own self-worth. Any psychological patterns may be related to feeling like an outsider that have been blocking you from feeling like what you have to say is of value. The way that you operate in relationships has a certain lens that's of value. The way that you spend your money and the possessions that you have, if you've been feeling possessive about some of that stuff, that's a Pluto quality, and that is a longer journey that you have of Pluto in your 2nd house for 17 years, and it's been going on for a couple of years already, where any over attachment to material things is going to start to fall away. You're going to start to see the psychological connection. You're going to start to see the limitations around that. And you're going to start letting go of the things that you thought you valued. This is one of those moments. And in that process right now, for whatever reason that tension has been building, this is going to improve your relationships, your communication, your ability to initiate what matters to you with Mars here. Mercury is the communication piece, Venus is the relationships. And this purging of old energy it could be painful. It could be frustrating the way that it has come up for a lot of people in the past 2 weeks. But the full moon is going to create a pressure release and an awareness that helps us see that this was important and meaningful in understanding how to be different, how to be unique, how to be each of us be seen as individuals that are valuable, and how we all connect and fit together in some sort of functional system. And when we have Leo and Aquarius in a full moon, the sun in Aquarius in opposition to the full moon in Leo is a light bulb moment where we have a new way forward because of this tension. We have a new awareness. We have a psychological purging that just happened, a transformation. Potentially some assets were completely flipped. This could be a new cycle of your assets and possessions in some way for some people. That, again, is the more physical, practical way this could show up, and not the energetic that's going to show up for everyone. For most people, this is about a release of fears of assets and money and security and pleasure and self-worth. Any fears that have been holding you back, anything you've been holding on to tightly, you're going to now have the ability to let go and see how this part of your chart unfolds because of that. What you value could change in a flash. When you have Mars and Pluto coming together, the things that you thought were important could completely transform. Your motivations in this part of life could transform. The ruler of this part of your chart, the second house, where I'm talking about all the assets and values, where Pluto's been hanging out in Aquarius, the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, and Uranus is in your fifth house of children, fun, play, creative self-expression. This is the Leo house, so there's overlap here for you too. And whatever is showing up is an opportunity to get new psychic downloads on what it means to really be authentically you, to go through a complete transformation on what you value and make room for more fun with Uranus in your fifth house. This is a breakthrough of authentic creativity, aligning with your solar light and flame and who you are as a light, energetic being in this world, who you are as a unique creative person. And it's that uniqueness and self that I want to really exaggerate in this video, is that being unique and being different and standing off on our own creative path can sometimes mean a level of isolation or not being understood fully. And we have to be okay with that to really fully step into what is real for us and meaningful. And it's going to be unique. It's going to be so unique that it's not going to match the group. And that's the whole point. If we all fit in and we follow the path, the traditional path of everybody works the same way, we talk the same way, we adopt all of these things so that we get along, we speak the same language so we get along. I mean, these are great and they're important. But the reality of the world is that we are all also very unique, and we have to get along despite of that, inclusive of that. This is extra potent for you, Capricorn, because of Uranus in your fifth house, which is the classic position of Leo. And we're talking about a Leo full moon in your eighth house. So even though this is about other people's support, other people's resources, there is a energy that speaks to being able to be you, being authentic, and not shifting for the sake of connection or because someone's resources are helping you out, you need to meet them where they are, or someone's energy is helping you out, so you need to conform to them. There's a way to work so that you still feel your Leonian self and you're not conforming for the sake of support. You're also at the same time going through these new cycles of just feeling stronger in who you are and what you have of value to bring to the world. So Capricorns, wonderful full moon to have. Hang in there if you are feeling this Pluto tension. This 8th house is not easy. This house of Pluto and psychological transformation and self-worth. And these are very important axes when it comes to the world we live in and feeling a sense of security and being cared for. Yet what's showing up right now, most important, is that we feel like we are ourselves and we feel like we are of value regardless of how we fit into the group. And that's going to somehow create more connection for all. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you for being here, watching this video, subscribing, chatting with me in the comments. It all helps so much and just makes this process a lot more fun. So thank you for that. And if you would like a one-on-one reading with me, my booking link is in the description below. I am holding my price right now at $150 Canadian for 60 minutes. But that's a lower introductory rate and will change. So if you've been feeling called to, definitely jump on that. I would love to see you there. But regardless, have a wonderful full moon and I will see you next time. Aquarius, this is a partnership full moon for you. So something is changing in partnerships, coming to fruition, reaching a new level. Something's being illuminated with your partner, which is helping you greatly transform yourself. You are the star of the show because you have Pluto going through all of these conjunctions leading up to the full moon. You have had Pluto in your sign, and now it has gone through a new cycle with the Sun, Venus, Mercury, Mars, and all in your sign. This is a brand new you. You might have gone through some tension with partnerships, or you might be at this moment. This could be the catalyst that releases the pressure that's been building in the pressure that you're putting on yourself, the psychological tension that's been building. You could be feeling more obsessive, more jealous, more controlling. You could have power struggles with other people. You could be fired up with Mars in your sign. You could be feeling more frustrated, more agitated, more passionate. Especially with Venus here, there could be romantic passion. You have the solar energy. And this is a lot of planetary activity to have in your sign right now at your birthday. It could be a very dramatic year for some of you because this is going to be your solar return chart, depending on where your birthday falls. Regardless, the point is that it's about self and other. It is about being as you as possible within partnerships, being seen for who you are. And that comes with breaking down the walls. That's what Pluto is here to do. It's here to break down any barriers that you have integrated as protection mechanisms of yourself and of your psyche, of how you were raised to be in the world, that have created an image that might not be as authentically you as you thought, especially as it relates to partnerships. And maybe you're going through this with your partner too. This is uncovering psychological limitations. This is going through psychological upheaval and expansion with your partner. This is seeing that within relationships, there's an opportunity to have our subconscious projected onto another person. That's especially what a full moon is in your partnership house. It's so you take a look at what you're made of, what matters to you, and what is real. That's at the core of this Leo full moon. And it's from that place that real merging that's healthy can be created, where two people feel accepted and recognized for who they are at an authentic level, Pluto qualities included. When that Pluto subconscious work shows up in the projector of our lives and we take a look at what's really going on in the complexities of our partnerships, of our humanness, of what it means to merge truthfully with another person. there is an element here where you could just feel a lot of pride and possessiveness in your relationships. You could be very jazzed up about a partner in your life, and there could be fears that come from that, especially subconscious. So you might not see them until the full moon shows up. Perhaps these conjunctions with Pluto in your sign created a sort of energy that the full moon then shows you is really just a fear that you can let go of and consciously step away from, that it's a fear of the past, and it doesn't mean that the future of your relationship is going in that direction. For some of you, this could be the ending of certain significant people in your life, business, romantic, partnerships. It doesn't have to be an ending. It can be a new position or threshold or status or level being reached. But for some, there will be a shifting that's occurring. That shift is helping you do more psychological recognition and understanding and patterning of how you want to connect with others. But this moon speaks so much to authenticity and the psychological purging that is a possibility at this moment, that whoever comes into your life or is going out of your life, that can bring both, there's a new level of match, because you are changing and you are going to go through so much change with Pluto in your sign over the next 17 years. It's going to come in different cycles, but it will change the people around you. And this is one of those moments. And we change together or we change separately, and they're part of the long-term path or short-term path. But a full moon in your partnership house also represents long-term committed partnerships. These are marriage partners, these are long-term relationships, these are karmic relationships and business partners. So there is an energy of longevity, especially when two selves who are very different can accept the differences, function well with the similarities, and find that Leo joy and pride and play and do it in all the healthiest ways. Your ruler is Uranus, and it is in your fourth house for its final degrees. So you are breaking through the way that you were raised. This is your inner world, the family you came from, the things you inherited from your family lineage. This is all not by choice. The foundation of your chart in the fourth house was how you grew up and the innate things that you were born into. But when you have transits like this, and especially Uranus finishing its final degrees in this part of your life, you do have the conscious awareness to break through anything you want to. Uranus, like a flash of lightning, can come through and create a tower moment where something in your actual home changes. But with this moon, it could be more that there's an energetic pattern that isn't going forward with you, that you are changing, and that's going to shift your relationships. It could challenge your relationships at first, but like all relationships, at some point there will be challenges, and they often are what's needed to bring people closer together. And that is up to the unique relationship that you're working with at this time. But there's a lot of potential for doing things radically different, being more aware of what you're coming to the relationship with, and having a deeper understanding of that other person, and being able to change any pre-programmed stuff that's holding you back from a really healthy long-term bond. Whatever's been coming up, whether it's easy, whether it's been intense, I imagine there's more psychological intensity with it, even if it's good and full of passion. But if it's fear-based, if it's old, if it's based on the past, then there's an opportunity to really break through that, and potentially rather quickly with this full moon, and feel that pressure release and make room for internal home-related changes and a partnership that really fits for you. I would love to hear how this is going for Aquarians out there. Happy birthday to you. A wonderful time to get an astrology reading if you feel called to it. For birthday times, I do solar returns, which is an image of the chart the moment the sun returns to the time of your birth, depending where you are in the world compared to where you were born, and other things, it can be slightly different. But regardless, this is a special birthday time where I look at that chart and some of the themes that can come up for the year ahead with that additional tool, as well as birth chart. For my readings, I do a blend of Hellenistic evolutionary astrology, Western astrology, and a couple of Vedic techniques that I've picked up along the way where I can. I read whole sign and porphyry, and I've learned to incorporate the things that are congruent through all systems that have really strong truths for me, and also the most applicable to our current times, which I find evolutionary astrology really helpful for. So, little extra there for those of you who are called to a birthday reading. But thanks for just hanging out here and checking out this video. Have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you next time.